If I told you that this morning I had been in a giant battle, you wouldn't quite believe me from the clothes that I'm wearing right now. But if I had showed up wearing this jacket right here, hello and welcome to the filmmaking home of Harry Potter. My name is Hope and we're here at Warner Brothers Studio Tour London, the making of Harry Potter. I'm part of the learning team here at the Studio Tour and we want to show you some of the amazing sets, props and costumes used in the Harry Potter film series. Behind me you'll find a few of the costumes from the Harry Potter films, and today we're going to be talking about one job, which is costume distressing, or it can be known as costume breakdown. Now, costume distressing is where we take our costume and make sure it fits in whatever scene that you'll see it throughout the films. If I told you that this morning I had been in a giant battle, a big fight, and lots of things had happened to me, you wouldn't quite believe me from the clothes that I'm wearing right now. But if I had showed up wearing this jacket right here, it would be much more believable. Now, we have distressed this jacket to look like a battle sequence, and I'll leave you to guess in the comments who this costume belongs to. But you can see already this costume has been quite distressed. This is where we've cut holes into the fabric. We've then taken wire brushes and we've brushed at the fabric, and then we've even sprayed it with some fabric paints. Now you can see that we've put fabric paints all over the different parts of the costume to make it look like this costume has been in a battle. With different characters come different levels of distressing. So with Harry's costume, you can see a lot of the distressing on his costume quite obviously. But with someone like Lord Voldemort, he would look a little less distressed, and we can see that from his costume here. Now with Voldemort's costume, although when you first look at it, you can't see the same level of distressing, but if you have a look up close, there are tiny little holes in the front of the costume. Now this is created by taking a heated pin and putting it delicately into the costume, so we get this effect over the front. If you have a look at the back of the costume, there are more holes within the back of the costume than the front, because people would throw spells at him without him knowing. It started out as white Parisian silk, and we dyed it 7 different shades of green. This means that we have different layers of green and we have different layers of the fabric. Slowly over time we can take away those layers of fabric until you can see that it's quite pale, which makes him look quite weak towards the end of the series. This costume belongs to a character that we first meet in animal form, better known as Scabbers the Rat. Then in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, we meet the human, who is Peter Pettigrew, played by Timothy Spall. Now our costume designer, Gianni Tamim, put quite a lot of work into this costume to make sure it looked as rat-like as possible, maybe even ratty with the way that it was created. You can see there are lots of holes within the fabric. It looks very worn and torn. The rips and tears within the costume, you can see at the bottom, it's so torn that actually the rip looks almost like a rat's tail, which is a nice hint to his animal form. We've also added tiny little pieces of silver fabric onto the costume to make it look like little rat fur to fit his character as much as possible. Now if you take a look at the shoes, we can see that there is short rat-style fur material all over the shoes, as well as right at the end we can see that they've moulded little rat claws at the end of the shoes to show his character as much as possible. Now, speaking of the Marauders, the next costume we're going to show you actually belongs to another Marauder, Sirius Black. When we first meet Sirius, he's just escaped from Azkaban prison. Now we imagine that Azkaban prison wasn't the nicest place to be. It's very dark, it's very cold, and then you of course have the Dementors there as well. So once he has escaped, he is not in a good place. So what we have created is with this lovely velvet coat. It started out as a really nice coat and we've worn it down for as long as possible. We've added fabric over the top, added little bits of thread to show that it is worn and torn, a little bit like his animal fur. So of course, as he can turn into a dog, his animagus form, we can see that the costume is deteriorating like his fur. There's actually on the front a paw print that has been worn away, as if he's been kind of running across his coat after he turns into his animal form, or even that he scratched at his fur while in his animal form. We hope you enjoyed finding out a little bit more about some filmmaking secrets and how costume distressing was a big part of the Harry Potter film series.